Andrew, when did you become a stonemason?
Back in 1987, I was sent to a company that was basically on a big job in the city, and we were sent down there by the unions, and they were told to give us jobs.
Right. And did you like doing the work?
It was better than what I had been offered. When I left school, my mum gave me three choices. You go to work with your father, you join the Navy, or you get an apprenticeship. You've got 2 weeks, or you're out.
So you picked an apprenticeship?
Obviously.
Yeah. And what did it involve, the stonemason work?
I wasn't too sure what it involved at the time, but we were more of a commercial entity, being wall claddings, paving, manufacturing.
Yeah.
In a big way.
And when did you start working with engineered stone?
Basically when it first arrived on the market.
Yeah, which was?
I can't be sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a long time ago, but...
Right. And was there a lot of dust when you started doing that?
Yeah, there was quite a bit of dust, but it was controlled.
How?
It was controlled. We used fans. There were exhaust fans in the ceiling. It wasn't great, but it wasn't so bad.
Masks?
Masks were used, but still paper masks, which aren't really appropriate.
And at any point back then, did anyone tell you, did you know anything about any safety risks?
We were advised at TAFE, in our first week at TAFE, that there was a thing called silicosis. I was under the impression it was basically what the guys that originally built the old sandstone buildings in the city had, and that we weren't going to be at that much risk.
Yeah, yeah. And how long were you what year did you start being a stonemason?
End of 1987.
Wow. So you were 32 years forward to 2019.
Yep.
You had 5 kids.
Yep.
And you went to the doctor. Why did you go to the doctor?
Safe Work New South Wales started to come around to our factories and did a mini audit on what we were doing. And as part of their mini audit, we were sent for lung screens.
So you went to a lung screen.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you thought just a normal thing to do?
And we were getting ready to go out for our belated Christmas party. We thought it was just something that we had to go and do to get work cover off our backs.
You didn't have any symptoms at that point?
No.
So when did you find out something wasn't right?
That day.
What did they tell you?
Basically, they said I've got silicosis and I have to go and see a specialist.
And how long until you saw the specialist?
I was there within 3 months. It's hard to get into a good doctor.
Yeah, 3 months. And what did you find out when you saw the specialist?
That I had inhaled silica dust and it was there in my lungs, and there's not really that much that they could do for you except manage you and keep their eye on you.
How did you feel around that time?
I wasn't impressed.
Yeah. I mean, it must have been a shock.
It was a shock. In some ways, I wasn't really that surprised, given that it is probably the dirtiest part of the building industry that there is to be in.
Had you known other people prior to your diagnosis who'd been diagnosed?
No.
No. Okay. And what did you do about work at that point? Did they give you any advice about work? Stop it, change it, anything?
I had to find out most of this for myself, but it took me about 6 months to arrange for some retraining. Basically, I did rigging, dogging, elevated platform, and I got a truck license.
Okay.
But was then advised by another specialist that they didn't want me back in the building industry due to the fact that my lungs were already, Yeah.
So the first specialist you saw, did he or she say, stop working with engineered stone, you've got to change jobs?
That was pretty much the advice we were given, yeah.
Yeah. And you'd been doing it for 32 years and it was what you knew. Did it take you long to accept that, that job was something you couldn't do anymore?
I was upset. In the beginning, I was upset, but then after thinking about it, 32 years as being a stonemason is sort of enough. It's a dirty, dusty job.
Yeah.
And to be honest, was glad for the change.
Okay. And how was your contact with your workplace after your diagnosis?
Not good. I was ostracised, pushed to one side. Basically, I was treated like I was an obligation and somebody they really didn't want around anymore.
How long did you stay at your workplace after your
Approximately
diagnosis?
6 months.
Oh, that's quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how long it took me to get my retraining organised.
And that was it sounds like not a nice period.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't very nice at all. You're ostracised as a worker. You're looked at as if you're a liability. And honestly, it's not a nice feeling to have walking through a workshop door every morning and having people move away from you.
Why do you think that happened?
Basically because people got scared of the legal ramifications.
Yeah. Did you know much about the legal situation? Did you see a lawyer around that
I
period?
saw a solicitor just after I got diagnosed and basically just filled out some forms. She gave me one of the best pieces of advice I'd ever had. Go and see Associate Professor Deborah Yates.
And why was that such good advice?
Because she's, as far as I'm concerned, she's one of the best doctors in the country.
Yeah. And what did you find out when you saw her?
She basically sent me for some more tests initially, did another lung function, did a couple more scans, and she pretty much told me that, yeah, I need to get out of the industry. It's a foregone conclusion, and yeah.
And had you started to experience symptoms by the time you saw Deborah?
I didn't really notice it so much. I just thought old age. I was a smoker up to some point.
Sorry, how old were you in 2019? So whatever you are now minus 5.
Yeah, 53. I was 48.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah.
And when did you first experience symptoms? So it was after your diagnosis.
Was after my diagnosis, yeah. It's when I really started to pay attention to what was going on.
Yeah.
The subtle changes I was having in my body with my breathing. Not just that, as well as the physical side of it. You start to lose muscle tone, and it being a heavy job, you're always out there, you're always into it. It's like going to the gym, but for 8 hours a day. And you start to lose all of that.
So that's a subtle thing, isn't it, I guess? Yeah. But was the breathing the first thing you noticed, or what?
Was more so after I'd given up smoking, that I'd still maintained this cough.
Okay. So maybe, I mean, maybe the smoking hid the symptoms a little bit because you know, if you were coughing, you assumed it was smoking.
I would say so, yeah, definitely.
Right. So the cough, tell me a bit more about how you became aware of symptoms.
It became very apparent when, if I got near smoke, just not cigarette smoke, if I got near wood smoke or anything like that, it would tickle.
Yep.
And the tickling would bring on a coughing fit. I'd never had that before.
Yeah.
Never had it. And we grew up, we went camping, bushfires, things like that. They all sort of, yeah, you can smell it, you can taste it. But to go into a full-blown coughing fit is something I'd never experienced before.
Were you very physically active? I guess your job was active in 2019 before your diagnosis.
Well, I've got 5 kids, so chasing 5 kids around doesn't leave much time for sitting down.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go back to 2019 and how this has affected you in other ways. But fast forward to today, how have your symptoms progressed over the last 5 years?
I've still got a cough. I've tried some of the trial medications. They didn't agree with me. I have noticed that I'm still coughing. When it's colder, I cough more. And it's just progressing. It's not been aggressive so much as it's just been niggly little things that have just started to show up.
And muscular thing?
Muscular things, yeah, I have lost muscle tone.
Yep.
I did go to pick up something really heavy the other week and thought, yeah, I could still pick that up. I'm, still fit, and I ended up doing the rotator cuff on my shoulder.
I was going to ask you about that because you're rubbing your shoulder earlier, and that's because of that. Also, earlier we were doing a trial sitting in the stool and you got a cramp. Is that related, do you think?
I'm not sure if it is, but I do tend to cramp up quite often at the moment, quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. I haven't really looked into it. It's probably a little bit of too much sitting around, not being able to work at the moment.
Yeah. Do you get out of breath quickly? If you walk up a hill?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, the 5 kids, is it getting harder to keep up?
Yeah. As your kids get older, they get a little bit easier to deal with. It's more the younger ones now that you still got to chase around.
Sure is. How's it affected you financially?
It's impacted me greatly. I've gone from making a fair wage, down to being on basically a workers' compensation payment, and that's about $500 to $600 a week less than what I was getting.
Can you work now?
At the moment, no.
Right. Because of your symptoms?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, work doesn't just give us money. It sometimes gives us something of a purpose in life. Has that been a challenge?
When you're sitting around on the lounge at home with not a lot to do,
yeah,
it does. I've lost that sense of I've accomplished something today. I achieved that. You do lose that.
Have you found other things to fill the day, fill the time? I mean, 5 kids, obviously, but other things?
Yeah, but going to the pub every day isn't such a good thing.
That's true. Right. So that's a struggle.
Beyond that, you can only do so much at home. I've been told by my occupational therapist I'm not allowed in the garden.
Okay.
Due to the dust from soils and whatnot, I'm not supposed to be in the garden. I'm not supposed to be cutting the lawns.
Do you think your mental health has been impacted?
100%.
I mean, I'd be amazed if it wasn't.
100%.
Can you expand a bit in how?
I thought that I had friends in this industry, and as soon as I found out, and as soon as they found out, they all just ran away. Like I had the bubonic plague. They just scattered. It wasn't a nice feeling at all.
Yeah.
People you'd known all your life, or all your working life anyway.
They know it's not contagious.
Yeah, well.
I mean, it's hard for me to understand that. Do you understand it?
It's all a legal thing.
Yep.
But again, if you're in my shoes and you do go down the legal path, that what they have to realise is it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal. And what they also have to realise is if they were in my shoes, they'd be doing exactly the same thing.
So you saw a lawyer. Did you get assistance from iCare, workers' comp?
In what way?
Well, they gave you money, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So when did that start?
As soon as my retraining started, iCare started to pay a wage.
Okay.
Yep.
Did they give you other assistance?
They offered some general assistance in the way of house cleaning, yard cleaning, but beyond that, no, there's not a lot there.
Okay. Did you take any other legal proceedings with your solicitor? Don't want to go there. No, that's all right. That's totally fine. So it's been a tough 5 years. Where have you got support?
I've got support through iCare. I also have received quite a fair bit of support from the Asbestos Diseases Foundation. They've been guiding me in the right direction as well, offering me some advice.
What sort of advice?
Is what we should be doing with our lifestyle, how we should be going about treating others the way we expect to be treated.
What about personal support? I mean, given you said you've been ostracised.
Personal support you only get from your family,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And again, if you've got a good doctor, they will give you, they'll pat you on the shoulder and tell you, don't panic.
Yeah. So, what advice have you got for other people? I guess firstly about screening.
Screening, it's a part of it. You have to go and get screened. Even if you don't think you should, it's best that you do. There's a lot to be learnt by it, obviously, and if they find out that you do have silicosis, then they can start offering you help.
Yeah.
They can get you out of the industry. They can manage your symptoms.
The earlier you're diagnosed, the better.
Of course.
I mean, ideally, you're not going to be diagnosed, but if you are, get it early.
Get it early, yeah, and do what's best for you, do what's best for your family, because at the end of the day, you have to look at your kids and think, wow, if I hadn't have been caught in time, I might not be around to see them grow up. I might not get to see grandkids.
Sounds like the other advice would be, well, seeing Deborah Yates, but also getting to the right specialists.
It's always good to get good doctors. You can't speak highly enough of them. They are hard to get into. There is a waiting period, unfortunately, but you just have to be patient and it will come around.
Yeah. And any advice about kind of coming to terms with the fact that you've got this disease?
Stay calm.
Yeah.
Stay calm. There are people out there that are willing to help and they will help you. Depending on the extent of your diagnosis, you might not need that much help. You can get retrained, you can get out of the industry, you can go and do other things. If you can't return to work, again, don't panic. There is help out there.
Does it feel to you that there is a much greater understanding and acceptance of silicosis now than there was when you were diagnosed in 2019?
It has moved forward, not as much as I'd like to see it move forward. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Can you be more specific? What particular work needs to be done?
We need more information. We need to be able to get some fact sheets. Where there wasn't anything like that with us, we had to basically go through it ourselves and find out. You need to be informed straight up what's going to happen as in regards to your medical future,
Yeah.
your legal future, and what you're about to experience.
Yeah. Any other advice just about, I guess, the whole emotional journey of it, from happy, content at work to suddenly got an illness, got to change career, might not be able to work, coming to terms with that? It must be a gradual process.
Stay calm.
Yeah.
Hopefully now with this portal, there'll be a lot more information available to people that have just been diagnosed. There are people that you can call that will just have a chat with you. Don't let your employers give you crap. Don't be put in that position where you're made to feel that you've just become an issue for them. You need to realise it's not your fault. This disease is not your fault. You've got it at work. You're supposed to be able to go to work and come home safely. That's all you can expect, is to come home safely. And if you come home covered in dust, then you know there's an issue. There always has been an issue. And it's about time, people come to grips with it instead of pushing it under the carpet.